So you've got that dream, right? To build a business that doesn't just scrape by, but one that actually lasts and makes a real impact. It's a huge vision, but let's be honest, turning it into reality can feel impossible. In this explainer, we're going to break down the essential framework to help you build a solid foundation. But first, let's get real for a second. Building something from nothing is incredibly, incredibly tough. I saw this comment on Reddit's entrepreneur forum that just hits you right in the gut. It said, "Little do they imagine, the success rate is 1%. Oof, that is a sobering number, and it's that fear of failure that keeps so many amazing ideas on the shelf. So the big question is, how do you beat those crazy odds? How do you become part of that elusive 1%? Well, I can tell you it's not about getting lucky. It's about having the right strategy, a solid game plan, right from day one. And here's our game plan for today. We're going to walk through 4 fundamental pillars. First, why you have to fall in love with the problem, not your product. Then, how to let your customer be your guide. After that, we'll get into the nitty-gritty of how your business actually makes money. And finally, we'll talk about the founder's mindset. Then we'll tie it all together. All right, let's dive into pillar 1, the problem, not the product. This is probably the single biggest reason why so many startups fail. They get this part backward right at the very beginning. And this slide just nails that common trap. The mistake is thinking, if I just build this amazing app, customers will show up. Spoiler alert, they won't. The real strategy, you got to get out there and validate your idea. Market it, sell it, talk to people. Ideally before you've spent a dime on development. And the best tool for this is what's called a minimum viable product, or MVP. Now, the key here is that an MVP has just enough features to be useful. It's not supposed to be perfect or have all the bells and whistles. Its entire purpose is to get something into the hands of real people so you can start learning from them, like right away. So you really need to think of your MVP less as a stripped-down product and more like a science experiment. The whole point is to learn as much as you possibly can about your customers with the least amount of work. You're not just launching a thing, you're testing a theory about a problem. And that leads us perfectly into pillar 2, because once you have that MVP out in the wild, your job totally shifts. Now it's all about listening, and your customer becomes your compass. I love this quote from Tim Jordan at Help Scout. Feedback is fuel. That is exactly the right way to think about it. It's not just criticism or compliments. It's the energy that's going to power your business forward and show you which way to turn. But how do you get that fuel? Well, it doesn't have to be some massive, complicated survey. Look at these simple methods. You could use quick emoji ratings in a chat, or a simple "was this helpful" button on a support page. Even just talking to your own customer service team can give you incredible insights. Just collecting the feedback is only half the battle. The real magic happens when you act on it. You make the changes, you fix the bug, and then, this is the crucial part, you let your customers know that you listened. That's how you turn casual users into loyal fans. Okay, so you're solving a real problem, your customers love you and are giving you great feedback. That's awesome. But how does this thing actually become a sustainable business? Well, that brings us to pillar 3, understanding how you make money. At its heart, it's super, super simple. A customer has a problem, you have a solution. They pay you for that solution. That simple exchange of value is the engine of every single business on the planet. And the specific framework for how that exchange happens is your revenue model. Just think of it as the blueprint for your business's engine. It defines exactly how you're going to turn the value you create into actual income. And what's really interesting here is that every model has trade-offs. A recurring subscription model, awesome for predictable revenue, but it can be really expensive to get started. Freemium is great for getting tons of users, but converting them to paying customers, so hard. And a marketplace needs a massive amount of people to even work. There is no one right answer, only the answer that's right for your business and your customers. And this brings us to our final and honestly, maybe the most important pillar of all. Because you can have the best idea, the happiest customers, and the perfect business model. But if the founder burns out, none of it matters. This is all about the founder's inner game. So first things first, you have to set clear, actionable goals. You can't just stare at the top of the mountain. You have to focus on taking the next step, and then the next one. Breaking that giant vision down into small, daily wins is how you build the momentum to actually get there. Second, you have to cultivate a growth mindset. That means truly believing that challenges aren't roadblocks, they're opportunities to get smarter and better. Every mistake, every setback, it's not a failure. It's a lesson. It's tuition you pay for your business education. And please, hear me on this. You cannot do it alone. Building a strong support network is absolutely non-negotiable. This means finding mentors who've walked the path, connecting with other founders who get the struggle, and just having people in your corner for encouragement. And that brings us to the bedrock of it all, self-care. Seriously, this isn't some fluffy, nice-to-have thing. It is a strategic necessity. You have to protect your own energy, set boundaries, get some sleep, move your body, because burnout is the #1 thing that will kill your dream. Okay, so let's put all the pieces together. The best way to visualize this isn't as a checklist you do once, but as a continuous reinforcing cycle. Think of it like an entrepreneurial flywheel. Here's how it works. You test an idea with an MVP. You listen to your customers and use that feedback as fuel to make it better. You refine your revenue model to build a sustainable engine. And you feel your own inner drive to keep going. And then you do it all over again. You just keep repeating the cycle, getting smarter and stronger with every single rotation. And that really brings us to the final question for you. Building a business that lasts is a marathon, not a sprint. But every single marathon starts with one step. So looking at this flywheel, what's your first move? Which one of these pillars are you going to focus on building starting today?